In this video, I'm going to show how to take toolpaths that are programmed for one of these models and just apply it to all of the other models. Okay, so in a production environment, if we have a fixture where we can put multiple parts on the machine at once, we're just going to want to take the toolpath and just automatically copy it over. You don't want to have to program toolpaths for all of these different locations for obvious reasons. So over here on the CAD side, we just had one part, and we're going to put all of our toolpaths on that one part. And then we're just going to mirror it over with a transform instruction, and then do a repeat, up to the top there. So these are nice, neat, and kind of organized. Everything's rotated to like 90 and 180, and everything's evenly spaced. We could just lay these down however our fixture is made. In any orientation and all of that. And then we're going to just want to take a toolpath and put it on to any of the models that we have over here. So like I said, we have 4 toolpaths here, real simple toolpaths. Of course, to program this part for real, we would need a lot more than just the 4. But I just want to keep it simple for the video for right now. So we're going to go ahead and just insert a repeat toolpath instruction, which is kind of where the magic happens. That's what's going to allow us to copy these toolpaths to everything else, or to all the other models. So we're going to take these 4 toolpaths and just move them into the repeat toolpath. So this kind of acts almost as like a folder. Okay, so we have like the machine setup folder and other various types of folders for our toolpaths to organize. This is kind of the same thing. It's a folder with all the instructions for one model on it. Okay, and then we have a couple of options here. We have pattern type, which we're going to leave it on solid pattern because that's the easiest and best way to repeat the toolpath when you actually have the separate models. Sometimes we don't have a model, sometimes we're just working off of 2D data. And in that case, you're more limited to like linear, grid, and angle rotary patterns. But solid pattern is by far preferred. And then what we're going to do is come down here to the solids that we've selected and click on that, and then we're going to select just the one solid that we programmed our toolpaths off of. If we program off of this bottom right one over here, but then we select like say this one or something like that, then it's going to put our toolpaths in really strange places. So we want to make sure that we select the exact model that we programmed the toolpaths from. Okay, so we click on that, and then it should just automatically move the toolpaths to all the other locations. Yeah. So there it is. Basically it just basically detects all of these other models in the system, and then puts the toolpath that moves it around to however it has to in order to place it in the right location. Okay, so then we also have this drop-down area called locations. We can click on that and see all of the models that it's decided to put the toolpath on. And then we can go through them one at a time and see the order that it has decided to cut these out in. And then we can actually comment some of these out. So let's say I don't want to cut this one and this one and this one. You can just comment those out, and then it'll cut whatever is uncommented here. So a lot of times when you're doing production, for whatever reason, you have to stop on one, and then just you can pick up just from one particular model. Or if you have a fixture to cut all 8, but for whatever reason you just want to cut 4 this one time, then you're going to want to do something like this. That'll just cut the first 4 and then not cut the last 4, something like that. Okay, we can also rename these if we want to say part 1 or whatever. We can rename these so we can kind of find things faster. And we'll also be able to move these around, kind of reorder them, so we can cut them in whichever order that we want to. Okay, so that's good. So the other thing that's important to understand here is the operations order. So preserve order, what that's going to do is that's just going to cut the parts kind of one at a time. So it's going to cut everything on the first part, all 4 of these toolpaths on the first part, which is going to be 3 tool changes. And then it's going to go to the second part and then cut all 4 of these. So you're going to have a lot of tool changes. Typically you're going to want to do either order by operation, which means it's going to face mill all of the parts, and then profile all of the parts, and then pocket all of the parts. And probably the most useful though is order by tool, because this right here, it'll first face mill all of the parts, and then detect that the next instruction is a different tool. So you kind of have like a break between these because it's a different tool. But when it goes, the profile and the pocket here, they're both using tool 60. So what it'll do is it'll go and it'll profile the first part and then pocket the first part and then profile the second part and then pocket the second part. So it kind of does things in the most efficient way that it can. And then the pocket over here, since there's only one toolpath in one tool, it's going to just go through and cut everything, all the parts one at a time. So it might take a little bit of experimenting to really have a good feel for what this option does here, but order by tool is probably the most useful. Okay, so I hope that helps. Thanks.